Initiative's Elderly Support Scheme. The program, which is being held in all states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, for veterans, has 250 beneficiaries per state, the FCT, and the military, with each of the beneficiaries to receive a grant of 200,000 naira. Speaking, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, urged Nigerians to support President Bola Tinubu, whom he said met a lot of rot on ground when he assumed office. And still in Abuja, the House of Representatives has ordered an investigation into the non-delivery of 2,000 tractors and 100 combined harvesters under a federal government agreement with John Deere. This followed a motion by Saba Ahmed Adam, representing Edu Moro, Patigi Federal Constituency, and who expressed concerns that no single equipment had been deployed or supplied, despite significant public funds spent. Adam noted that the deal aimed at boosting food production and security remains unfulfilled, hampering Nigeria's agricultural goals. The House highlighted the setback to the Renewed Hope agenda, warning it challenges the nation's food sufficiency efforts. Meanwhile, the Committee on Agricultural Production and Services has been mandated to probe the procurement and distribution of the farm implements. To business news now, the Federal Executive Council has approved a 47.96 trillion naira expenditure for the 2025 budget, marking a 36.8% increase from the 2024 estimate. The decision was made during the Council's final meeting of 2024, held in the Council chambers of the State House, Abuja. Speaking to State House correspondents, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning...
barrels per day, exchange rate of 1,400 naira. All these are already included in the medium term of expenditure framework, which we have presented here, which have also been approved by the National Assembly. So the total projected revenue for 2025 stands at 34 trillion 820 billion, out of which the expenditure is projected at 47 trillion 960 billion, which is an increase of 36.8% from the 2024 estimate. The deficit for 2025 is projected at 13.13, representing 3.89% of GDP. If you recall, this administration inherited 6.1 from the 2023 budget, but given the success achieved in 2024, we still aiming to maintain deficit below the inherited threshold. This, the comments were taken from by the members of the Executive Council, and Mr. President directed some consequential adjustment while approving the figures.
The Nigerian Senate has passed the 2014 Nigerian Insurance Industry Bill. The passage of the bill followed the consideration of a report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, presented by Committee Chairman Senator Abiru Adetokunbo during Tuesday's plenary session. Senator Adetokunbo, while presenting the report, explained that the bill sought to essentially consolidate various existing legislations regulating the conduct of insurance businesses in Nigeria. The lawmaker listed the legislations to include the Insurance Act 2003, the Marine Insurance Act, Motor Vehicles Third-Party Insurance Act, the National Insurance Corporation Act, and the Nigerian Reinsurance Corporation Act. Senator Adetokunbo told his colleagues that another major objective of the bill was to enable Nigerians to have a better future for themselves.
Worthy to state that after the public hearing, the committee painstakingly analyzed the presentations made at the public hearing by some key stakeholders, and some of the summary will include that on the whole, the inputs made on the proposed bill as recommended by the committee for the approval of the Senate will go a long way in providing a comprehensive legal framework for the regulation and supervision of all manner of insurance businesses in Nigeria in order to ensure that the industry is able to successfully compete on a global level and also improve international competitiveness of Nigeria's insurance industry.
In the proposed minimum capital requirement of 45 billion for reinsurance businesses, suggesting the status quo should be maintained due to the current economic situation.
Is that in view of the fact that subsequent increase in the insurance capital base have been leading to the death of insurance company in Nigeria, and reflective on the economy, I propose that the existing capital base of Nigeria insurance company, which is not even backed up by any law so far, should be retained, rather than going to 45 billion.
International banks are raising their minimum capital to 500 billion. And we know in other jurisdictions, insurance companies actually own banks. So if we don't have fully capitalized insurance companies, then they will not be able to do the business. And talking about reinsurance companies, yes, we may have only one, Nigerian Re and African Re. Inability to have sufficient capital makes them to reinsure their businesses outside of these countries.
Then international banks, 500 billion. And, you know, I know that banking and this insurance are interrelated. In most climes, Mr. Chairman, and my brother, Senator Jimo, knows that much more, that insurance companies ought to even be bigger. They ought to be bigger than even banks. Insurance companies actually even own banks because they reinsure banks. So I think that unless there is we should go on with it.
Bill, Deputy Senate President, Senator Jibrin Barau, who presided over the plenary, said this bill would help to revolutionize the insurance sector in Nigeria.
Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, the National Insurance Corporation of Nigeria Act Cap 54N, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, the Nigerian Reinsurance Corporation Act Cap N131, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for a comprehensive legal and regulatory framework for insurance business in Nigeria and for related matters 2024, third reading taken and passed, will really help in reshaping our economy for the better. All over, whatever that has to do with any economy is dynamic. Life changes at all time. Economies change at all time. It's therefore incumbent on the authorities of every nation to recraft their legislations to go in tandem with contemporary realities. And this is what has been done by the passage of this legislation. The intent is to restructure the entire ecosystem, insurance ecosystem, in a way that it will go in tandem with contemporary happenings.
A major objective of the bill is to create a robust legal and regulatory framework for the insurance sector, enabling it to contribute positively to Nigeria's financial landscape. And still on business news and outside of the country, Morocco has received $14 billion of investment offers for its master plan to upgrade rail links in the country. According to a statement by African Development Bank, AFDB, President Akinwumi Adesina at the bank's flagship Africa Investment Forum last week, the figure significantly exceeds the target of $8.8 billion set by the country's National Railways Office. The AFDB itself signed off on a $350 million loan to Morocco for infrastructure projects at the forum, where the bank is also considering loaning $650 million to help the country strengthen its infrastructure ahead of the 2030 FIFA World Cup, which Morocco will co-host with Spain and Portugal. Meanwhile, the loan would help to boost economic governance, improve water supplies, and establish an industrial zone in the Nador West Med port, as Morocco is seeking to significantly expand its rail network to 3,800 kilometers by 2040, up from around 2,200 kilometers today. We'll take another break. When we return, it will be time for stories from the foreign scene. Stay with us.
Good evening to you, viewer, and welcome to Women in Business, a show that profiles women, executives, and even the next door store owner, showcasing Igbo greatness to the world.
I started always obsessed with books ever since I was a child.
The stress of always converting naira to dollar and...
An incompetent means an incompetent person.
What are your thoughts on the spate of sex for grades in Nigerian universities?
This very issue of owing salary should be criminalized.
How can they amplify their voices?
People don't have evidence.
You want to get to know about it? Have to stay tuned right here on Afia Morning Show to get the pulse and the feel of that.
Join us on Gyno Plus every Wednesday at 6 p.m. right on Afia TV, DSTV channel 254, and GoTV channel 17, where we will delve into health issues affecting girls and women in society.
Breastfeeding doesn't even cause breastfeeding.
The frequency of breastfeeding means
the approach you take to make sure that your well-being is maintained.
Welcome back to the news today here on Afia TV and today foreign scene now. The Russian Ministry of Health has announced the development of a cancer vaccine, which will be provided free of charge to Russian patients starting in early 2025. According to the Russian state-owned news agency TASS, Andrei Kaprin, General Director of the Radiology Medical Research Center under the Ministry of Health, recently shared the news during a broadcast on Russian radio. The vaccine is intended for the treatment of cancer and cancer patients rather than for preventing cancer in the general population, and will also be personalized for each patient. Alexander Ginsberg, Director of the Gamaleya National Research Center for Epidemiology and Microbiology in Moscow, previously told TASS that the vaccine has the potential to suppress tumor growth and prevent the spread of cancer. Shortly, we'll take our special report after the break. Stay with us. And now to our special report. The Afia Airport project has been flagged off for construction in the Nsulu area of Isialangwa North, local government area of Abia State. The flag-off and groundbreaking ceremony took place at Obaha Nsulu, one of the communities comprising Nsulu. Emmanuel Nwazwe, Afia TV Bureau Chief in Abia, witnessed the ceremony and now reports.
All roads in the state led to Obaha Nsulu on Tuesday, bringing together the creme de la creme of the state and beyond to a very colorful occasion, the groundbreaking ceremony of the Afia Airport. President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Minister for Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, said it was inconceivable that an industrial hub of the southeast like Abia had no airport.
Afia is the heart of industrialization of the southeast. It doesn't add up at all that the heart of industrialization of the southeast does not have an airport. And I can tell you that there are already plans afoot, myself and the governor just spoke, that it's not just going to be a passenger airport, but a cargo airport too. Most of the beautiful things we say made in Nigeria are made in Abia, most of them. There's no reason why we cannot process goods from here, manufactured in Nigeria, process them and export directly from Abia, instead of taking them elsewhere for logistic purposes. We should be very, very proud of what is happening here today.
He made a commitment to the people of Nsulu whenever the airport will kick off operation.
And I was just discussing with the governor before I came here. Take it from me. He told me that when the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria wants to commence the airport, the people of Nsulu first should be considered even before Abia State. MD Fan, stand up. I'm giving you a directive now. MD Fan. People of Nsulu first, before the people of Abia State. We'll talk about the percentage later. We're not talking of percentage now. But you must consider them first for employment and to run this airport in this state before you consider. It is their problem. Let them own it. Let them value it. And let them, run it for the good of the country.
On his part, Governor Lex Oti, while x-raying the economic and social importance of the project, said the airport would be something extraordinary.
We are poised to turn Abia into a major destination hub that will welcome hundreds of thousands of unique visitors from different parts of the world every month. Let me also make the point that we are not just building an airport that will be tucked away in some obscure location. No, far from it. We are building an airport city. Difference between an airport and an airport city, with a lot of ancillary development around it. The Sulugan village is in this community, and we have started the process of making it functional. Other facilities, including hotels, will follow suit. Our aspiration will be impaired without a dedicated airport to serve our most important urban destination. Recall that I announced last week that we have reached an understanding with a major global hospitality brand to turn the long-abandoned Enyimba Hotel into a 250-room 5-star facility. This airport will therefore serve a new advantage to the appeal of Aba as an important destination in the West African sub-region. Umuahia, the state capital, is also witnessing a significant turnaround as we continue to remake the city into a thriving business and administrative center.
In their goodwill messages, former Senate President Adolphus Wabara, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Benjamin Carlo, Representative Jinjo Onwusibe, who represents Isialangwa North and South, Minister of State for Labor and Productivity Nkiru Konye Georgia, and host of others eulogized the project and urged the government to pay adequate compensations.
Therefore, I want to appreciate Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and my very dear friend, the Minister of Aviation, for making this possible in my lifetime. And I want to thank you, Mr. Governor, for remembering our people. Why? Excellency, I want to thank you for considering our people, for considering Nsulu to sign this project. I want to also thank you for matching the federal government with funds to make it a full-blown airport.
I thank God that this is happening, and I also know that God will continue to make it happen more than this.
The president, alongside Governor T and others, performed a groundbreaking ceremony. Speaking earlier, the Commissioner for Land and Housing, Mr. Chaka Chukwumerije, says the project is about development and that the Nsulu people will be better for it.
Development is a good thing, and development begets development. So we're grateful to the federal government, we're grateful to the governor for this airport coming in. It's going to help to open up Afia more, and Nsulu as a host community would also benefit from the ensuing developments that would happen.
On the part of the people, what does the airport project mean to them?
They'll be given. We don't resist government presence in our place, because we are law-abiding people. We would like government to truly be represented in our community. I want to be part of it. So my community is happy to have the government in our land. We never had it like this before.
It's not like you doing me a favor now. This is a thing that will last, because this project will never leave this place. It will remain a specimen of what will kindle the young ones in the years to come ahead. So it's very, very fortunate affair, and I'm glad I'm able to see things of this nature in my lifetime.
The state government has just remembered the Nsulu people after so many years who have been in this community without development. This is the first time the Afia state government and the federal government is respecting the wishes of our people who have been clamoring for development thus far. And we are not expecting it so huge like this. We expected it was going to be a small project. But today, God has had our cry. We have gotten a large project.
The Afia airport will sit on 1,325 hectares of land, and according to the government, the rightful owners will be adequately compensated. From Obahan Sulu, in East Alangwa North Local Government Area of Abia State, Emmanuel Nwazwe reporting.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Nwazwe, for that special report. And now straight to our discussion segment. And of course, recently Afia TV signed a partnership with TV BRICS to consolidate its participation in international information exchange. Of course, TV BRICS and Afia TV working together. This is such wonderful, groundbreaking news for especially sub-Saharan Africa and all the countries that enjoy BRICS patronage in terms of those that are members, exchange of information, everything in between. And to help us put some perspective to this, I have Chukwuma from Okenwa. He is the Executive Director, Lead Network Africa. So of all the TV stations, it's Afia that got the nod and signed, took the bulls by the horn to sign this partnership with TV BRICS to continue to widen Africa's scope in international media. So, I mean, what would be your immediate response to this?
First and foremost, I'd like to say a big congratulations to Afia TV. This is indeed bold, an opportunity to tell the Nigerian story beyond the shores of the country, all across the BRICS nation. We know that BRICS as a bloc, a multilateral bloc, has been gaining quite a lot of popularity to redefine the current financial structure globally, which over time the financial order tend to disfavor emerging economies or developing economies. And we also know the political order tend to put nations, you know, when the West say global South and global North, it doesn't necessarily mean geographically. You know, global South simply means nations that are downward and they keep moving down. And global North, those that are on rising. And it's actually structural. There has been that agitation. And of course, we understand the role of information, collaboration, especially as it has to do with Nigeria as a nation just aligned with BRICS. That was last 2 months as a partner nation, you know, hoping with time, perhaps within the next 2 years, it could become a full member. But I think information is key, because part of the thing information we do, some of the nations that are in BRICS, like China, Russia, many Nigerians have reservations about those nations, right? So this collaboration is going to tell that story for Nigerians to really see Russia for what it is. You know, so Russia and America, who seems to have more interest of Nigerian, what are the new things we need to learn about them? And then some other misconceptions they also have about Sub-Saharan Africa vis-a-vis Nigeria. That's right. Through the Afia perspective, through the shared production, and then also like information exchange, content sharing. Yeah. You know, that's really going to make a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, now that you mentioned content sharing, Afia and TV BRICS will be exchanging content and programming, especially things that promote each other's culture and the social aspects of our lives here. And it's also important that people out there, especially those within the BRIC nations, will also see what is going on within the country. Remember, Afia is now not just on DSTV and GoTV. We are now on free TV, and we are online too, so we are all over the place. So this will also increase that. And with that exchange of content, one believes that the rest of the world, especially the rest of the BRICS world, putting it that way, will now see Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa the way it is, telling our own stories, not by any distorted sense, but the way we are telling it here is the way it will be told out there.
Yes, and I think that the most beautiful thing about BRICS approach, BRICS is not after attacking your culture, attacking your belief systems, your dispositions to life, but of course in fostering shared developments, partnerships, you know, and they have actually helped to, you know, I know that sometime last year, EU began like a kind of research. I was part of the process, trying to find out what is China doing differently in Africa that EU nations don't do. You know, some of these challenges eventually make Sub-Saharan Africa the beautiful bride. And I love the fact that Nigeria has well aligned, both with the Western blocs and of course BRICS now as a partner nation. And with the role of information, that will really help to, like, you know, make it faster, facilitate the process, and even help us to tell our stories. Because too many times now, and because of course, like in many cases, the Western media is not robust enough to help tell those, you know, beautiful, beautiful stories about some of the nations. Because keeping a nation like Nigeria as a corrupt country without a future, you know, could help to favor some narratives. You know, unfair trade policies and stuff like that, unfair visa policies. But now you could have like nations, big nations, strong militarily, strong in terms of space prowess, strong in terms of finance and infrastructure, now ready to come to partner with the emerging economies. I mean, that's a very beautiful one, and information is key.
Just before we go, and for a lot of countries outside of Africa, sometimes they consider Africa as just one country. They say you are from Africa. No one wants to refer to you as Nigerian or Ghanaian or South African. They say you are from Africa. How do you think this will also change that narrative? Because the stories we're telling will help to really tell particular stories of different aspects of our lives, and not just presenting Africa as one big forest where people jump out from.
Well, honestly, when I always like to address this from two ways. You see, when Europeans refer to Africa as one, they actually do that because in Europe, they actually see Europe like Europe, Schengen countries, 27 countries are borderless. In fact, you only know when you enter the next country when somebody say, oh, you've left Austria, you are now in Germany, right? So it's not like derogatory in nature. But the only place where we have the problem is that many of them also think Africa is as small as Europe. So to some people, when they say Africa, they think it's as small as Europe. But we know that all of the people living in the US, all of the people living in China, all of the people living in Europe and some parts of Russia could all be fixed into Africa, because Africa is a great continent. And you know, pushing narratives is very, very smart. People can do that smartly. For instance, if someone wants to give an impression that the US might be bigger than Africa, the person starts by telling you one state of the US that is bigger than entire Nigeria, and that's Alaska. But the person will not tell you that Alaska is the only state in the US bigger than Nigeria. No other states compete with Nigeria in terms of size as long as the US is concerned. So the positive thing is that Africa should actually be one, because that's the idea of Pan-Africanism. Africa as one community. But beyond that, Africa should also be appreciated from a multifaceted and the colossal standpoint that it's actually a big continent, you know, bigger than many continents fused together, right? And that's like, I call that a full story.
All right. And we'll continue to tell that story from Southeast Nigeria to the rest of the BRIC world and the rest of the world. And thank you so much, Chukwuma Ifeoma, for your analysis, as always, on the news today. And to end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. Bishop Onaga has called for a better economy at Christmas. In Abuja, the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu advocated for more support for elderly persons. On business news, the Senate has passed the 2014 Nigerian Insurance Industrial Reform Bill. On the foreign scene, we reported that Russia has developed a cancer vaccine to be given free to patients. Thank you for staying with us on the news today. Do follow us on all our social media platforms at Afia TV Official. My name is Alex Obodo. Good afternoon.
Treats for everyone this